So, hello everyone, and a very happy new year. This is Adarsh Agrawal from Actuators Educational Institute, and today I'm going to talk about all the changes that has happened in FRM Part 1 and Part 2 from 2025 to 2026. So, beginning with FRM Part 1, we see that the weighing scheme remains the same. There are four subjects in FRM Part 1, which are foundations of risk management, quantitative analysis, financial markets and products valuation, and risk models. And in 2025, the weighing scheme of all of each of them were 20%, 20%, 30%, and 30% respectively. And it has not changed. It has remained the same. So we'll see 20% in two subjects, first two subjects, and 30% in third and fourth subjects. And there's no change at all. With respect to number of readings, we see that the number of readings also remain the same. So we have 11 readings in Foundations of Risk Management, 15 in QA, 20 in FMP, and 16 in VRM. Total number of readings were 62 in 2025, and in 2026, it remains the same. So what exactly changed? You can see these QA being highlighted, quantitative analysis being highlighted. So there's a small change in quantitative analysis in learning outcomes. The wordings of learning outcomes have changed. So what are the wordings that have been changed? So here you can see the highlighted portions that have been newly added in 2026. So initially, it was only define and describe AR process, define and describe MA process, and explain lab operator works. But now they have introduced more to it. They are asking us to calculate AR processes as well and understand it. They are asking us to calculate MA processes. They are asking to calculate lag polynomial of time series processes. So it has moved to more analytical portion. You will not be just be limited to understand it, but also calculate these AR series, MS series as well. So we are progressing towards more in-depth studies right now. So these are the only changes that has happened in QA, and everything remains the same. FMP remains the same. FMP, financial markets and products, remain the same. Foundations of risk management remains the same. Evaluation and risk models remains the same. Nothing has changed compared to 2025. So these are the only change that has happened in FRM Part 1. But now, if we move to FRM Part 2, we see majority of the changes happening in FRM Part 2. What are the changes? Let's see. First of all, talking about the weighing scheme, weightages of each of the subjects, there's no change. So in FRM Part 2, there are 6 different subjects. Uh, First is market risk, second is credit risk, then operational risk, then liquidity and treasury risk, then investment management risk, and then current issues. Current issues are most prone to change, and we'll see why. So the weighing scheme goes on like 20%, 20%, and 20% in first 3 subjects, and then 15% and 15% in fourth and fifth subject, and 10% of current issues. And in 2026, the same percentages remain intact. There's no change in there. In number of readings, you'll see there are few changes. In first 3 subjects, which is market risk, credit risk, and operational risk, we see no change. The number of readings remains the same. Even the learning objectives are same. There's no change in these 3 subjects because recently market risk syllabus was revamped. Market risk and credit risk syllabus was revamped recently, and operational risk was also introduced recently. So we see no changes in there. We see liquidity and treasury risk management. There were 19 readings earlier in 2025. It has moved down to 17 readings. So we'll see what changes have been made in the readings. In risk management, investment management, there are majority of changes. It was 11 readings earlier. Now there are 17 readings in total in risk management. And in current issues, there were 9. It has moved to 8. So in total, we had 104 readings in 2025. Now we have 107 readings in 2026, which is we need to study more. Now, what are the changes that we see? In part 2, as I mentioned earlier, we see no change in market risk management, in credit risk, and operational risk. There are no changes. Coming to liquidity risk and treasury management, what are the changes? So earlier we had 19 readings earlier, as I mentioned. From this 19 readings, this reading number 12, which is managing and pricing deposit services, was removed. And this was removed totally. It is not there anymore in 2026. And this illiquid assets, reading number 19 of 2025, has been moved to risk management. The same chapter, the same learning objectives, everything is moved to a different book, which is book 4, book 5, risk management and treasure investment management. That's all. These are the two changes that has happened in liquidity and treasury risk management. So less to study. Earlier it had 19, now we have 17. So some relief. Moving to risk management, let's take time here and understand what the changes that has happened. So earlier there were only 11 readings. Now they have 17. In these 11 readings, 3 of them were removed totally. So reading number 7, reading number 9, and reading number 11 of 2025 is removed. The risk monitoring and performance measurement, hedge funds, and predicting fraud by investment managers has been removed totally from the subject. And what are the readings which are newly introduced? They've introduced hedge fund management strategies. So they removed funds and they've introduced hedge fund management strategies. They've introduced risk regulation and organizational structure. They've introduced private market investing and these 4 readings as well. So distress symptoms and remedies, Madoff, RAT, and red flags. These are few papers which were coined by famous risk professionals. So they have taken some readings from their papers as well. Those are marked in italics. Market-driven scenarios, liquidity risk management. These are the new subjects that has been introduced. And illiquid assets comes from the liquidity risk book as chapter number 17 in risk management. I have not talked about this chapter 10, which was part of current issues in 2025, but they have decided to make this a permanent chapter of risk management. This was in 2020 current issues 2025. Now it is part of your syllabus in risk management, which is the rise and risk of private credit. So this has also been introduced in this book. So from 11 readings to 17 readings, there's a major revamp in risk management, and you can make it out how important investment management is becoming as we move forward in time. Now, last but not the least, current issues. These current issues usually has the majority of the changes in a particular year because, as the name suggests, current issues, it should tell you about all the new and latest information in risk management industry, and that's what it does. So that is, I see the first 5 chapters of 2025 has been removed. They are not there anymore. The 5 new chapters have been introduced, and 1 chapter from 2025 has been moved to risk management as discussed. So earlier we had 9 chapters. Now we have 8 chapters with 5 new chapters. And as you can see, we have moved more towards AI and stuff. We can see advances in AI, financial stability implications of AI, the global drivers of private credit, global financial stability report, and tokenization of and financial market inefficiencies. These are the new chapters that have been introduced. And monetary and fiscal policy, the crypto ecosystem, and digital resilience and financial stability remains intact as in 2025. There are no changes in there. So these are the changes that has happened that GARP has introduced in FRM Part I and Part II. Part 1 mostly remains intact with additional LOS, but Part 2 has majority of the changes in the second set of subjects, which is Book 4, Book 5, and Book 6. Thank you. So these are the changes. Thank you very much. All the best for your preparations. We are happy to help you out with your examinations, and let us know if you have any questions in the comment box. Thank you.